Welcome everyone, it's Donna here from Riverside Beads, and this week's demonstration is for our pearly crystal snowflake earrings. So these are a super cute make. We have a new kit to make these. It's got an assortment of seed beads in, some bicones, some pearls, and then some little metal spacers. There's a variety with this project that you can switch these up to do different styles with it, but it makes this gorgeous little set of earrings that I'm showing there. So that's all set in our little Christmas scene. It shows them off beautifully. They sparkle beautifully once the light's on these. So I'm going to show you how to make them now. Now, first off, you start by, if you go for our kit, which I've put a link to here, you will get all of the instructions that you need to make these. But I'll show you some of the key bits to making those now. So I've got a beading needle and I've got Nymo for my choice of beading thread today. Choice of thread is really dependent on what you fancy, what you like using. Sometimes it becomes a bit of a personal preference. Sometimes it'll be the way you were taught, what you were taught with. But I tend to use Nymo quite a lot. I think it was just a readily available one for quite a period of time. And I just find it's generally strong enough for my projects. Occasionally I'll say, oh no, we need to use a different one, maybe for something that's got a lot of work on crystals. So what I've done here, I've picked up 6 beads and I've passed back through all of those, which I'm going to be forming a little circle. So once I get to that stage, it may not want to go any further very comfortably. So what I'm going to do is pull them together and that will just knit that together. But to ensure that these all join up, I'm going to pass through the next 2 beads as well. So the next 2 beads along with my working thread. So something along those lines. So I'm making a little circle there. Then we're going to infill with these little silver seed beads. So we're picking up sorry, they're not silver seed beads, they're actually silver spacers, they're rounds, which work rather well for this project, but seed beads are an alternative as well. So a little round, those ones. So it's working in the same way that your thread is going, round, picking up one and passing through the next pearl along. Try not to get caught in your mat. And then that pulls in. So I've got hold of my little tail thread here, which just gives me a little bit of tension and something to hold so I can sort of keep it so I can show you guys. And I pick up another of the beads, back through again. And then we continue with that process. So I've actually got one that I've done earlier at that stage. So then we continue round until we've got this little loop. See if I can get that in focus for you. There we go. So I've got my little loop with my seed beads infilled in between it. So now what we need to do is we need to add our kind of feature parts of the snowflake around that area. So now we're going to add a selection. We've exited, let's have a look. We're not quite exited on the right place here, so I need to exit after a spacer bead. Just bear with me one moment. So through a spacer there. Okay, what we're going to do is add a little edging around that spacer is what's going to happen. So you pick up one spacer. These are going a bit magnetic on me, I'm afraid, so they're attaching to the needle when I don't want them to. One seed bead and a further spacer. Just bear with me. Okay, and then what we do is we go back round and back through that one there. Just get it in between there. Just trying to get it so I can show you where I'm going. So in there. And then pull that tight. And just make sure that captures around there. Okay, so then we can pass through and do that on the next one along. So we go back through that pearl on a spacer bead. If we can get through the 2 in 1, that's great. If not, just do it in 2 steps. Bear with me. Thread is all tangled around either my arm or the mat. So just when you're working with your thread, just make sure it doesn't do that, because it ends up getting caught around beads and things, and then you end up with a thread path that you don't really want to be seeing. So then we're adding our next little snowflake peak, I guess it turns out to be. So it was a little tiny spacer, a seed bead and another spacer, and go back through. Little seed, let me try and get in the right place again. There we go, you see that through there, and then pull that in place. And then you can see we're starting to form some little edging pieces there. The final stage, once we've done that, will be to infill between here. So I'll just carry on a little bit further so I can show you that bit. The process is a repeat one. It makes a super cute embellishment. So this month our bead box is a beaded bauble, and it's done with super duos, and on the bottom of them we've done a sort of super duo star. Let me just show you that. Made here out of little super duos as well. So this also makes a really cute change to the bottom of your bauble features if you wish to include it in there. Once you've made the base element, it will allow you to switch that in. To demagnetise this needle somehow. You can see I'm nearly there, well, halfway there at the moment. I've just had a top tip come through on my live feed here on Facebook, that to demagnetise the needle, you hit it hard, hit it off something hard, try to hit it on something hard, and that'll disrupt the magnetic field. It's going to make a rather loud bang if I do that live, but I certainly will be doing that after. It's fine when you're working with the glass beads, but when you try and work with the metal ones, it is sticking. You can see this forming absolutely beautifully now. It's such an elegant piece. The colours just work really well. I have also made it in a white, so I suppose a typical snowflakey colour, which also looks super elegant and lovely, but this is a great one for showing you the colourways, and you can see the contrast in this. As you go round more, it tightens it up. You just have to sort of get that needle in there, because you're sort of passing through and pulling your thread each time. It just sort of pulls it that little bit tighter. But that one hasn't quite gone in the point that I want it to. Just looking at my thread then, I can see I've somehow managed to pass through that. So I'm just going to pass it back in the right place, because otherwise that won't sit. Oh, I've caught my tail thread as well. That's what's doing it. There we go. Sorry about that. So keep hold of that thread ideally. I was trying to let go of it so I could show you the angle properly, but then it got caught. You don't need your tail thread, you can weave it in out the way. Okay, it's the last one. So it was your tiny little spacer bead. They're a 2mm, I think. We've just sort of worked it out so everything sits around everything else here. You can experiment with changing that up. See, that in itself look rather cute. It's a layered one, so you kind of take little elements and work them in between. So there's a couple more stages to get this finished, so I won't get to all of them today, but you can see the basic principles of it. Once you get to that stage, you pass up through this spacer here, so through there, and then we're going to add our bicone in between here, so that'll be the next row round. So you pass up through there and back down through the opposite side. So in our instructions, we've put sort of step-by-step photos, little arrows to show you which way to go up and down, so you can read this back and then watch it in conjunction with the video. So this will now infill in between each of those, and then the final stage will be to add a little picot around there. So I'll just pop you the finished photo back in, so you can see then between the little spacer bits there, I've then gone in between those to add that edging around all the snowflake. And that's everything you need to know to make that. You do get all of your ear wires in there as well, so they're included. We're a UK-based bead shop. All of our findings are nickel-free and lead-free, and they're a nice deep silver plating. So we do find that when people have got allergies that they're working with, often if it's the nickel, then having a good tested finding is going to help you out with that. So if you've got any queries, you're watching this back on YouTube, please do let us know. We try and reply to those periodically. This will remain on our Facebook page as well for a month, so you'll be able to continue to see the core bits of that. The kits are still available. There's limited stock of these at the moment, but we are replenishing them. So if you desperately want to get hold of that, grab it now, and then more stock will be coming of those. And then once you've got your pattern, you can interchange those as you wish. Thank you so much to those of you that were watching us live, and do let us know if you've got any questions at all. I'll see you all next week for our next tutorial. Thanks everybody.